Okay. So you've seen the title of the video. It's a hot button topic, and you've clicked on it. Congratulations. I duped you. No, I'm joking. So cancel culture. I really wanted to make a video on this, and it's been bugging me for a while. So much so that I've videotaped this thing 5 times trying to get this right. But regardless, to give a fully fleshed out response, it's going to take a little bit of backtracking. But the reason I'm making this video is that there's already a lot of opinions out there for cancel culture, against it, reservations on it, or things that should be improved on it, etc. But I haven't seen perspective like this before. And that's the reason for making this video. Maybe it's totally unnecessary and my fears are completely unfounded, and I hope that's true. Nonetheless, I felt necessary to make this video. It's been bugging me for a while, and I just had to put it out there to see the response. Hopefully I'm wrong, but regardless, let's jump right into it. So, cancel culture. It's great, it's bad, it's ugly, it's beautiful. We don't know yet. It's kind of a new response that I don't think we've ever seen before, in that people are judging past character and past people's actions by the focal lens of today's standards. I feel like that pretty much is the issue at heart. Now, taken at a quick glance, that's not so bad, especially for, recent situations where people are clearly overstepping the line or comedy's gone too far. However, in the extreme, I am very worried about this. So, before we continue, let me give an example. Mid-2000s, the age of information is booming now. The presidential-elect nominee, Barack Obama, is running for office. Just take a guess. It's, end of 2007. What's his political position on gay marriage? Oh, he opposes it. Interesting. I kind of forgot about this too, actually. Back in 2007, he opposed President Barack Obama opposed gay marriage. And that was reflected by major politics, or politicians, I should say, and the polls in the United States. Interesting, okay? Like that, societal changes, societal standards change. Okay, I get that. Okay, that was only 15 years ago, roughly? A little bit more, a little bit less, right? That is a massive shift in 15 years. The polls are reflecting that too. So nowadays, instead of a minority supporting the rights of gay marriage, for example, it is by and far the majority. That was only 15 years ago. And their perspective, the opinions of the populace, of the culture at large, have swayed so much so in that time period. And while 15 years is a long time, it really isn't. In the grand scheme of things, the age of information, I personally believe, and this is kind of one of the main starting points of the conversation, the age of information has increased rapidly the change of society, of the cultural ideals that are reflected in the everyday person. And that's because information is being able to be widespread much more quickly, much more fast. That's redundant. But either way, person-to-person communication has never been easier. And that is amazing. I cannot overstress that. It's great. The amount of lives that people have improved and lives saved is great. It's amazing. However, with that case, the changing political positions, moral positions, etc., of people, I feel like has rapidly changed, both generationally speaking, millennials compared to Gen Zers. The change within society is increasing at I feel like a rapid pace, increasing still. And so with that, if the cancel culture trends continues, what are the ramifications towards everyday people's opinions now that there's a digital footprint? People kind of forget. At least I've forgotten, at least. I'm young enough that I don't really remember before the internet. But before the internet, supposedly, there wasn't constant blogs and YouTube channels and Instagram posts and your accounts kind of keeping a digital journal of your life and your opinions as they're progressing through your personal grow up and journey. That wasn't a thing, back in the 70s, hundreds of years ago too, thousands of years ago, right? And so, while your positions change, your political statements, very out there at the time when you're younger or when you're older, there's not just a constant big brother watching you, recording everything you do. That's here now. Whether that's the federal government keeping text records, phone call records, or social media companies. Even if you delete a post, they probably have it archived somewhere. It's just a matter of fact, I feel like. Either way, a position you espouse publicly on a social media platform or between a personal text is no longer just a one-off. It's there forever. I feel like that hasn't hit me, even though I'm aware of it fully. And I feel like a lot of people don't even think about that. And so with cancel culture, if the trend continues, if people continue to judge historical figures or personal decisions in the past by modern standards, that worries me, because the amount of information they have to draw on is increasing at an exponential rate. So much so that something I say or post now, 30, 40 years from now, could be considered, if it's controversial now, who knows if it'll be considered even acceptable to talk like that or discuss this topic, for example. Not this particular topic, but just any topic. We don't know. It sounds easy to say, oh, well, we'll probably be continuing on this trend in society. I feel like it's very hard to predict where society is going to go in terms of what their values are in the future. And so that is what worries me, is that the combination of the continual exponential change of people's ideas and values on a quick pace because of the internet, which is a great tool, and the combination of that and the inability to erase the record, so to speak, or to have one-offs. In so much that, a personal post on Instagram that you mention as supporting a political candidate in a very disruptive time, 30 years from now, that is still out there. That can be drug out of the closet if necessary, if you are in a position of power or influence for other people, and people need to take you down. That is concerning, because that is fundamentally, I'm just worried about the concept of judging past actions by current events and current political or social or moral beliefs. You have to understand that people are very malleable, that people adapt to the situation they're born into, the cultural changes they adapt with a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of the times. And that, if I was born, for example, in the Roman times, when the Roman emperors, let's say 300 AD, right? There's great turmoil in the empire. I'd be a completely different person. Even though I had the same genes, I'd be totally different. While, modern me, believes against slavery, for equal rights, for voting, for democracy, for democratic institutions, Roman me would be completely different. That's just not how we see things. So that concept alone, and the inability of cancel culture to weigh that in when they're looking at information, is very, very concerning to me. Take Kevin Hart, for example, or Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's more popular right now because he's canceled right now because he said the N-word on his podcast numerous times in situations. Clearly, both these people didn't think that in the future, those words that they said, I think about 10 years ago for Joe Rogan maybe, and 5 years ago or so for Kevin Hart, when he got canceled for saying homophobic jokes and he lost the ability to host the Oscars. Those words that both of those people said at that time, I am sure they didn't think were cancelable or would cause such controversy in the future of just 10 years from now, right? So the inability to predict the social or societal changes in standards is the issue at heart. And so obviously, if they thought back then that this was going to be very controversial and that they would get a lot of heat for it, they wouldn't have said that. They would have gone some other way around to say that. Maybe make a similar joke, but much more safe, etc. But they didn't, and they can't predict the future. And so with the digital footprint that exists now, it's just going to be out there forever. And it's going to be continuing to build and build and build. And that, people like myself that basically grew up with the internet, and I don't ever remember a time without it, are just having their lives being constantly monitored and recorded. And so with the future, if I, by happenstance, or if someone wants to take me out for whatever reason, someone digs up through my text histories or my personal Instagram account, for example, and I had posted something controversial then, that was controversial then, but now 30 years from now in 2055 is considered absolutely untenable a position. This trend will just continue. And so my personal thought is just, what will the ramifications be if the cancel culture continues like it is? And this is my personal perspective that I haven't found anywhere else on the internet, that I've seen at least, is that just the level of cancel, for example, the level of cancel it could go to, in that, we're being recorded every single day, whether we like it or not. Our personal opinions are being recorded on phone calls, texts, etc., like I said before. And that digital footprint is around forever, and it'll never go away. And this is where you have to be really concerned. At least I personally feel like that I am concerned. Is that, for example, I was talking about this topic with my best friend some months ago, and that's where I really came to the decision I had to make this video. Is that I really self-censor every day, and not just because I don't want to hurt someone's opinions. If I post something on Instagram, or I text someone, slightly aggressively, for example, that, was supposed to be a joke, but it came off a little wrong. But I'm no longer self-censoring for the person I'm interacting with, but for the future perspective of society. That's where I'm mentally at now, is that I'm worried about what will happen, what the societal standards be in the future. And so it's not only just a personal filter of, being nice, being accommodating, that personal conversation, but also on top of it, the societal standards that it could be in the future that could hurt me or my career, etc. That's where I'm at now mentally. Now, I hope I'm wrong. And to be honest, I think I am. I'm just naturally a very defensive and risk-averse person. And so that's just how my mind works right now. But nonetheless, I'm worried enough to make a video about this, and I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts, the internet's thoughts, individuals talking and discussing down below in the comments if you have time. Am I totally wrong? I hope I am. But at the same time, I feel like this could be an extreme that is potentially out there. 30 years from now, this could happen. This situation that I hope doesn't happen could, maybe not in the exact way I laid it out, but be present in our daily life. And we have to live with what we post forever now. It's on the internet. It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. To be dug up when convenient, if necessary, to take you down. So, my final point in making this is just take my background, for example. Somewhat messy room. It's actually not that messy. I've really cleaned it up to make this video. But, it's a bookshelf. Okay, whatever. A bookshelf. In my thought process, this is how much is ingrained in me now. My thought process is, 1, okay, I need to make a video. 2, I need a video camera because I think it'll just look better that way, right? 3, what's in the background? Not because of a dirty, unclean background, it'll look messy, but what are the books that could be seen? And would the writer in the future be canceled because his position is no longer tenable in 30, 40 years? And, oh wait, this video's on the internet, someone finds it, oh, you have a certain author that wrote that certain book, you financially supported him. You're implicit in that person's work. You need to be canceled. That's like the ultimate worst case scenario I feel like could happen. I don't think it'll happen, but it's high enough of a probability for me at least, to make this video. So the more I'm talking about it, the more unlikely it seems that it'll ever happen. But just because it's unlikely, it seems, doesn't mean I shouldn't make this video, because I'm still concerned about it. So let me know in the comments. What is your perspective? Am I totally off on here? I hope I am. Or do you think this is actually a good thing? Do you think we need to progress to this level of judging past actions by the current or future societal standards? Let me know. I could be wrong. Thanks so much.